Hello folks, my name is Mark, this is Why I Hate the World. How you guys doing? So I woke up this morning and I saw a silly thing on the Reddits this morning. And what it is that some guys from Poll over at 4chan's political board, have gone out and done a few actions. And what they did was this: they would go out, they would print a small sheet of paper from a printer, 8.5 by 11, and on the paper they would write, "It's okay to be white," and post that up, and just to see what the reactions would be from the SJW crowd. And as predicted, the SJW people have gone a little bananas over it, right? And this morning there were lots of posts of people tearing these things down and screaming, and some YouTube videos and other things of people flipping their shit. Right. And in that sense, it's been a big success. 4chan is really good at showing the hypocrisy of the groups they stand against, That was one thing that back in the day got me kind of into it when they were, they went up against Scientology and were like protesting Scientology and stuff. And that was like, it kind of shows how they can be a force for good, right? If channeled correctly. But the thing about it is that it's not sincere. Okay, they're not really doing this to help anybody. They're doing it to fuck people up. First off, there are people out there that really truly think that white people are oppressed in America. In fact, I saw a poll not that long ago that said something like 70, a Pew Research poll that said that 70% of all Republicans think white people are oppressed, which is bullshit. All right, they're not oppressed, and this is why, because they're taking shit like the fact that the new stormtrooper, the stormtrooper in the new Star Wars movie is black, and they're calling that oppression. All right, or they're saying like an affirmative action program that hires minorities to be police and firemen and stuff is like oppression, which is bullshit. That's not oppression at all. That's, affirmative action programs are designed to help people, and, they might not be the best way to go about it, but until anybody can come up with a better solution that actually accounts for the real effects of institutional racism, right, then, this is what we got. But anyway, that's a different subject. But this is basically, if you try to find examples of anti-white racism, it's stuff that's kind of, it's stuff like that. It's cultural shit where like, okay, the main star in this movie is not white anymore. Or more specifically, a white male, because remember, the main character in the new Star Wars movie is a white female, but that's not good enough. It's got to be a white male, stuff like that. Or another thing is that in the new Wolfenstein game has Nazis as the enemy, right? They're calling this a symptom of white genocide, and it's like, the fuck out of here. I mean, that's been a thing for decades. Nazis have always been the enemies, but in popular culture and games and movies, these are people like, they can't really name any real examples of white, anti-white discrimination outside of things that cultural things like that, or things like safe spaces in colleges and that kind of thing. And it's like, well, come to me when you can demonstrate that white people get hired at a lower rate than black people or Latinos, or that resumes with white names on them get called back half as much, right? Or when white people are getting laws that affect white people disproportionately have higher sentences, prison sentences. Like, come back to me when that shit's true. All right. And that's the thing, is that it's hard to take this stuff, it's hard to believe these people are sincere when that's the kind of shit they believe. When you go to 4chan and you go to Poll, and they're clearly dominated by white identitarians, you know what I mean? White nationalists, like, and to some extent, Poe's law is in effect here, right? And that's how it always is kind of like that with 4chan. You never can tell when people are being serious, right? Except in Poe. In Poe, you can tell when the people are fucking serious, right? Some bad shit has come out of that place. In fact, there's a video I saw not that long ago where a couple of guys, 4 dudes were dressed up in black gear, and they went out and they shot up this protest, right? Went to a BLM protest and shot a couple of people, didn't kill anybody, thankfully, and got away and filmed it and put it up on 4chan, and it's like, these are the kind of people we're dealing with here. These guys are not, not all of them. I mean, maybe some of them are, but most of them are the real fucking deal, and they're not to be fucked with, right? So it kind of makes me a little leery when you see this kind of thing coming out of it. It's like, their motives are not clear. They're not, not clear rather, but their motives are not sincere. They don't really care about, actually us living in a racially just society where everybody's equal and everybody has the same potential access to wealth and the American dream and shit like that. They don't really care about that. What they really care about is like fucking up SJWs and getting rid of like black people and eventually deporting everyone who isn't white. And that's true shit. So anyway, it's kind of good to see a blow being struck against the SJW crowd because they deserve it. They're wacky. They're wacky, and the more you read about them, the more extreme they get. But at the same time, it's like they're wacky, but they're powerless. The SJW guys are powerless, and they're gonna remain powerless. And they're just basically a punching bag. So it's funny to see shit like this. It's funny to see them getting taken down a peg. But it's also not funny to see like who's actually behind it. And what the people who are behind it actually want. Anyway, that's all I got, folks. Adios.